Deep Threat Sports Network fans, hey, welcome back. We have a loaded episode for you here, and Noah and I are pumped up. We're doing this on a Sunday, and we love the idea of doing these on Sundays now. We kind of get out ahead of things, and we get the conversation going when the games are still pretty fresh in your guys' mind, even more fresh in our mind, and we're able to get in here and get this thing going on a consistent basis, hopefully here on Sunday or Mondays for you guys, and that way everything's still right there on the top of your head. And you know how we do things on our review episodes. We have our dog of the week. We have kind of scratched the idea, and no one, I needed to run this by you actually a second ago, and I kind of forgot to, but we have kind of scratched the idea of maybe doing the near misses and like that conversation, just because I felt like it got kind of repetitive because the near misses and the they gone segment, we ended up kind of talking about those games. So I felt like we didn't really need those as much, so we kind of got rid of that. And we are going to kind of move on here with our playoff conversations, get into the main game reviews and the quickie reviews. Also, obviously, our Heisman and National conversation and our dog of the week. So, Nolan, what did you think of this overall week? Also, two big things. I saw that LSU's having serious conversations about Brian Kelly, and I also saw that Jared Curtis, one of the top quarterbacks in the 2026 class, has just decommitted from Georgia, who he has been locked up with long-term. Saw he was on a visit to Vandy this weekend. So if I'm putting the puzzle pieces together, it looks like Vanderbilt may have them arguably their best recruit in the history of Vanderbilt football coming in if Jared Curtis goes there. So those are crazy topics in college football as of today on Sunday.
Yeah, man. It's like we talked about. It was elimination weekend. We're going to get to a couple of the games tonight, but at the same time, you see the flattening of the sport. Like we've talked about, talent spreading out a little bit. You can really speak to that with the Vandy commit there.
Yeah, that's huge. And honestly, what an environment he got to go experience. That was good stuff. Obviously, I have plenty to say about that game later. Also, real quick, what's your thoughts on the Brian Kelly situation?
I told you this on the preview episode. I don't think he gets fired. I think the man decides to leave. And also, we're going to get into it a little more heavily. I'm not sure this was an LSU problem as much as it was A&M is just better than everybody thought at the beginning of the season. They win multiple ways.
I agree 100%. I just think that the LSU not winning and having two really good quarterbacks in Brian Kelly's tenure there and not having success, and then last year 2 years ago and last year they got to sit there and blame it on the defense. Like now you're just running out of excuses, man. It's kind of the Billy Napier effect, right? You're at a big-time school. They expect to win, and every time you go to an interview or a post-game conference, it's the same conversations over and over and over, and you're just running out of things to say. Yep. And I don't know, man. We'll see. I cannot wait for us to do a coach's hot seat or coach's removal, whatever we want to call it, because what we need to do is we need to go back and review our coach's hot seat episode that we did back at the beginning of August and see how many we actually ended up getting right, because we made a joke like there's no way 18 coaches get fired. Dude, this is like seriously like going to push the limits of at least 12 to 15 coaches might get fired.
Well, I think James Franklin being fired really is going to expedite the process because people are going to leave their job to go to a Penn State, are going to leave their job to go to a Florida, which means other coaches are going to leave their job to go pick up where they just left off. Yep. There's going to be some real big-time programs, especially if Brian Kelly leaves LSU too. I don't know how you feel about this, but we've never talked about it. I think LSU is a top 5 job in the entire sport.
Yes. Yes,
if LSU. Brian Kelly leaves, everybody wants that. I shouldn't say everybody. Besides about 4 people, you want your name in the hat for the LSU job. You tell your agent, put my name in. I don't care how good I have it here. I want to go to LSU.
LSU easily slots in as the number 1 available job ahead of Florida.
I could make an argument for Florida over LSU, but
that one's close. But I would say my order would be LSU, Florida, Penn State in that order. Yeah. And I also think, to your point, the only like 4 coaches in the country that wouldn't leave for that job is probably Kalen DeBoer, Dan Lanning, Ryan Day, and
Kirby.
Yeah, Kirby getting 1, and Cignetti just getting paid at Indiana. So those 5 right there are probably locked up, and that's about it.
Cignetti's locked up for now, but I don't know. I could almost see him just wanting to retire with Indiana, no matter how good or how bad a job gets. I could see him wanting to retire there. It's almost like we talk about Clark Lee. I don't think that guy's ever leaving Vanderbilt.
I'm with you on that.
Statue built there for himself, not like personal selfish reasons. He just wants Vandy to be the best program possible, and I don't think Clark Lee's leaving because of it.
Well, on him and I think the GM that they call the GM there, I think they're like best friends. According to the SEC documentary, them two guys are tight, and so I don't think anything's going to change there, but I'm with you. But we'll save the rest of that conversation. Just anytime we hear big names and big schools like that, maybe having a conversation, we got to address it right away because LSU, I mean, it's one of the top jobs in the country, like no one alluded to.
Oh, yeah.
So the first thing that we're going to get to here, and since we have no Bryant this week, I'm going to kick the dog of the week to Nolan here. And the dog of the week for DTSN this week is Drew Mestamaker. Nolan, tell us about why he's our dog of the week.
If you guys missed this Friday night game, you really missed a master class in how to play quarterback. It was all levels of the field. It was the screen game. It was the short passes over the middle. He was making those long throws out to the sideline from the left hash all the way over to the right sideline, about 10, 15 yards downfield. He even had a couple bombs, those moon balls over the top. And you can see his stat line here, 37 of 49, 608 yards. That is not a typo. He threw for 608 yards and 4 touchdowns. That one interception, it was kind of a rough mistake on his part. But overall, I mean, you cannot fault the guy for anything in this game. Set a North Texas record.
Yep.
If you guys have not watched North Texas this year and you like to watch offense, go watch North Texas. They have a couple big ones coming up against like Memphis and Navy that are going to determine some of the playoff implications.
I tell you what, man, speaking of North Texas, the G5 conversation is like soup. Just actually take that back. Just the American Conference conversation is tons of fun. USF, Memphis, North Texas, Navy, and we see USF beat North Texas. We see Memphis beat USF this week. I mean, it is shaking up to be pretty damn dicey. But yeah, Drew Mestamaker, let the dogs bark for him, man. Setting the North Texas record is an absolute stud. And the dude didn't play high school football his senior year. It didn't start or whatever that crazy stat is on that. I mean, unbelievable stuff there. Okay, before we get into our playoff conversation here, real quick, too, just a reminder, we are doing a giveaway with our new merchandise website that you can go on and pick you out something nice. So like Nolan and I said last week on our preview episode, get on here, leave us a review in the comments. And I think on YouTube, you're going to have to leave a comment. You don't think you're going to be able to leave reviews on YouTube, but leave a comment, talk about how much you like us, boost us up a little bit, and we will take the top comments from YouTube, Apple, and Spotify, and we will decide which 2 we are going to take, reach out to you guys, let you pick out an item of your choice on our website, and we will get them to you. So make sure you're doing that for us, liking, subscribing, alerting, doing all those things, and then you will become eligible for some cool merch from us, and we will take care of you on that for sure. All right, Noah, let's get into this conversation, man. The playoff conversation. This is why we're doing this, right? This is why this whole college football season is played, and this is what it is now. So what we're going to do here is our first 4 out is still Texas Tech, Cincinnati getting their hat into the ringer here, Notre Dame and Louisville getting their name in the conversation according to us as well. And a reminder, this is who, if the season ended today, I forget today's date, Nolan, October 25th, 6th, somewhere. Today's October 25th. If the season ended October 25th after the 9th week of the season, this is who DTSN would have in the playoff 12. So like I said, first 4 out, Texas Tech, Cincinnati, Notre Dame, Louisville. And then number 12 seed would be G5 Memphis getting in here in the conversation after a big win against USF. USF had it in the bag, and they kind of fumbled it right here against Memphis, and we'll get into that game in a little bit. But Memphis will be squaring off against number 5, Georgia, and then we have Oregon at number 8, Georgia Tech at number 9. Them 2 would be squaring off as well. Miami, Ole Miss would be the next matchup at the 11 for Miami and the 6 for Ole Miss, and the 10 seed for BYU and the 7 seed for Vandy in the next matchup. Vandy be getting them a home playoff game in the first round. And our top 4 teams getting the bye. Reminder, like we did last week, we'll remind you every week because some people are going to forget. The top 4 seeds this year can be from any conference. It doesn't have to be conference winners. It's just the top 4 seeds in the country. And we would have Alabama 4, Indiana 3, A&M 2, Ohio State number 1. Nolan, tell me what you're seeing here.
This is absolute chaos at this point.
It's
You guys have heard me the last 2 weeks talk about how I don't think BYU is going to make the playoffs. I might have to eat my words on this, and they might make the playoffs. But what a terrible matchup that would be, BYU and Vandy. That's not a game that I would really want to watch. It's just people running the ball down each other's throat. But if you're looking at a couple of these matchups, Miami, Ole Miss, I think that would be a fun one to watch.
For sure.
Memphis and Georgia, what a beatdown. I'm not sure. I know they have to be included because of all of the whatever rules they have. I'm not sure we should really have a G5 team if you're not like Boise State was last year, where you have a probably should have won the Heisman player on your team. And I'm really not even sure Memphis is going to make it. That's the other problem.
Before we get past that, let's have that conversation because I'm with you. Why does a G5 team have to make it? Like if you get into the top 12 rankings, then fine. But I don't want to watch a G5 team get their name into here and then just get absolutely rocked the first round because that to me is not fun.
I'm with you, but legally, they are not allowed to leave the G5 out. There's some weird rules. I had watched this one podcast where they got into all the legal ramifications, and you are considering yourself more or less a semi-pro team if you are leaving out the G5 league. And then also because of all this new rev share deal and all the different stuff associated with it, the G5 also has the chance to put into the rev share. So you cannot exclude teams that are in this rev share that are kind of contributing to all of this stuff. So legally, they are not allowed to exclude them unless the G5 would say, hey, listen, maybe make it like the NCAA tournament for basketball. Yeah. You have the big one, and then you have the NIT tournament. If you could make something like that, well, I would be all for it. I watch the D2 and D3 playoffs every year. I would be all for like a NIT version of football.
The FCS playoffs are awesome to watch.
Yep.
I agree. They should do something like that where the G5 kind of has their own playoff tournament, call it what you want as well, because let's be realistic, man. The G5 is just not ever going to get it done. There's no way they may, obviously they're going to get into the playoffs, but they're just never going to get it done.
Yeah. It's going to take a whole lot. Like it'll take Georgia, what? You think 3-4 fumbles, probably an interception or two, and then it's going to take massive, absolute chaotic failures on their defense for Memphis to even hope to score enough to win.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I just wish there was a different way. Obviously, I know they got to be included. And we're sitting here kind of ripping on it, but in USF, dude, they did beat Florida. I mean, they did. So I guess there's a chance and a prayer, but that's about it.
I'd almost rather have like a G5, like All-American team. Like, can we put that together? But then at the same time, like, how are you going to do that? Is that team going to be because we see, I mean, look at Ole Miss. Trinidad Chambliss just came up from D2. You let their kind of superstars of the G5, G6 kind of play. I'm not sure that's fair either then.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a good answer, but it's just we're going to watch frequent beatdowns in the first round and the 12-5 matchup, and that whatever. That's okay. I guess that's why you play the games. Everybody's got a chance most of the times.
Well, that's what we talked about for this Arizona. We'll talk about it here in a little bit, but Arizona State, Houston, that's what we talked about. We talked about Memphis, USF with that, and still got to line up and play a football game.
You're right, and look what happened. Okay, so that's our playoff our playoff DTSN right there, playoff 12. If you're with us on YouTube, you can see the graphic we have up. If you're on Apple and Spotify, hopefully we slowed it down enough where you could at least hear who we have in and the seating that we have going on in the matchups that would be played. That is going to get extremely dicey. What's funny is last week we talked about how many teams are off that list moving forward. We said over-under was 5.5, and I think we all took the over at 6. There's already 2 off that list gone. So, trending in the right direction to hit that bet, even though it wasn't a real bet. Okay, now what we do next, you guys know how we do this as well. We're going to have our Heisman and National Championship conversation here. And the Heisman list, Nolan, is it's shuffling up. It's going crazy, but a couple names that we see consistent at the top here is Mendoza, Simpson, and Julian Sayin.
Yep.
And then we're getting some new names in this conversation as well. Not really new names, but kind of flying up the board here. And I'm anxious to see who you have as to who you would be putting bets on and who you would be removing from your list to bet on. So tell me what you got here.
I mean, first off, you just look at the top 3. They are safe bets at this point. But
Yes.
if you're really a betting person, or those the odds that you really want, the plus 260, plus 360, plus 380, if you're really trying to get a bang for your buck and you're kind of looking ahead, you're looking at schedules, you're looking at who everybody plays, Haynes King looks really good to me, because if everybody is kind of on the Diego Pavia train at the plus 800,
It's a joke.
Haynes King, I don't know if you guys looked at stats. Haynes King has the same or better stats in every category except for the total amount of passing touchdowns. But in his defense, he has a better ratio than Diego Pavia does of touchdown to interception. And they're the same player. It's just slightly different team, but Georgia Tech has a real chance to go like 11-1, 12-0. It just depends on what they do in that Georgia game, and weird things happen, as we saw last year in that Georgia Tech game. But Haynes King, I mean, throw a couple bucks on him at plus 2,500. You're going to make your money easy, or it's like you spent money on a pack of gum.
Yep.
Who cares at that point?
I'm highly interested in this Marcel Reed conversation at plus 600. I mean, they are. I don't know if any team in the country would line up against them and could beat them. Like, I don't know if I could comfortably say there's a team in the country that's going to line up against Marcel Reed right now and beat them. So at plus 600, I would take Marcel Reed all day long at plus 600. I would sprinkle, hinted about this last week, I would sprinkle Brendan Sorsby at plus 6,000. There's real conversation that they get to the Big 12 championship game. As crazy as that sounds, there's real conversation. Cincinnati could make the playoffs, as crazy as that sounds. And if all that takes place, then people are going to start being on notice and being on watch and go look at stats and be like, holy shit, Brendan Sorsby is having a hell of a season. And to your point, the Diego Pavia conversation, if you're talking about Diego Pavia and you're not talking about Haynes King and you're not talking about Brendan Sorsby, that just shows that you're part of the problem and you're going with the narrative. That just shows that you can read headlines on social media. That's all it is right there. And I don't mean to get animated early. Maybe Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt beating my team has me a little pissed off. But seriously, man, you throw 129 passing yards and an interception, and you have one rushing touchdown for like 60 or 80 yards. What are we talking about? The Diego Pavia. I was seeing headlines that Diego Pavia, whether you like it or not, is your Heisman champ. Miss me with that bullshit. That is so bad. Over Mendoza, Simpson, saying Marcel Reed. That is horrible. That is why I get so fired up over that conversation.
I don't believe he should be invited, to be completely honest.
No, he shouldn't be top 8 on this list. Seriously, I'm not even trying to be jaded. He shouldn't even be top 8 or 10 on this list.
Yeah, I'm very fully with you.
I could go down this list and tell you a lot of guys I'm taking. I'm taking Joey Aguilar from Tennessee over Diego Pavia. Like, it's crazy to me that we're actually having to address that and have that conversation.
Maeva looks good down there at plus 8,000.
Yeah.
It just –
I mean,
if we're talking – you keep looking down the list, and I will get animated on this one. Diego Pavia up there, John Mateer all the way down at plus 15,000.
They're the same player. Same player. And I'm out on John Mateer just as much as I'm out on Diego Pavia. I have, spoiler alert, I have in my notes later for the Oklahoma game that John Mateer is arguably the most overrated quarterback in the country right now.
Yeah.
1A and 1B is Pavia and John Mateer. And it's just the narrative that coming into the season that people just talked up John Mateer in Oklahoma. So they can't get off the fact that, okay, maybe I was wrong. And that's what we always talk about on this network, like with the top 25s and all that shit. People just can't admit that they were wrong. That's the first thing we do when we come on. It's the first thing you did this episode. I might be wrong about BYU. It is the first thing that we do. We're not going to lie to you. I might be wrong. It's okay.
Spoiler alert, you're going to hear it again when we talk about the BYU game. It's just, God, I'm not fully ready to accept and apologize to all the BYU fans. I'm not ready to apologize to Bear Bachmeier for doubting him, but it's looking that way.
Where's Bear Bachmeier on this list if Diego Pavia is on it?
Very true.
I mean, yeah, I'm glad Dave's not here because we'd be screaming at each other right now if he was on this episode right here talking about Pavia and how he's the Heisman. I would be losing my mind on him right now. I hope he's watching live right now from his couch, and I would be chewing his ass. All right, before I get more fired up about Pavia, let's go on to the natty conversation here. And let's do the top 6 teams we see here is Ohio State 250, Indiana plus 600, Alabama plus 700, A&M plus 900, Notre Dame plus 1,000. The national championship and the Heisman odds all come from FanDuel. We are using FanDuel's odds DraftKings. DraftKings this episode, we kind of alternate between FanDuel and DraftKings. FanDuel was last week, DraftKings this week. So let's have the conversation at Notre Dame at number 5 at plus 1,000.
They're going to be a playoff team if they can just keep it on the tracks. Do I think they can win the national championship? No. I would much rather have Georgia or especially Miami down there at plus 1,800. I would much rather have Miami for a bet than Notre Dame at plus 1,000. Miami actually has a chance to win. I know they dropped the game.
No, you're right.
Not this week, but last week. I know they dropped it, but I still just believe they are one of the best teams in all of football, and I would put them in my top 4 or 5 conversation. I'd put them above Alabama at this point, and Alabama has looked good.
Let me ask you this question. And the reason Notre Dame is probably going to find the playoffs now after, once again, we'll admit we were wrong at this point. We're suspecting now that we're going to be wrong because 3 weeks ago we were saying there's no way Notre Dame makes it. There's just no way. Well, all these teams are cannibalizing and eating and just munching each other up and knocking each other out of playoff races. And it's going to get really dicey and really interesting at the end of this season when they have to fill out this playoff conversation. So Notre Dame is inching their way back, not because of what they're doing, in my opinion, but because of what other teams are doing to each other and because of what USC did when they played Notre Dame. USC had every chance to win it, shit their pants, and allowed Notre Dame to slip out of there with the win. But my question for you is, if Notre Dame and Texas Tech, Texas Tech's at plus 2,200, and Baron Morton's playing, not Will Hammond, and those two teams line up on a neutral site. And I'm asking you this because you can get Texas Tech at plus 2,200 versus Notre Dame at plus 1,000. Neutral site line up. Who are you taking?
Listen, I think I'm the wrong guy to ask because I don't think you remember what I said 3 weeks ago about Texas Tech. I said if they line up against one of those teams from the Big Ten, the SEC, and this was still when Clemson had a shot to make it, and then throw Notre Dame in there, I told you they weren't going to win the game against them. They would have to catch one of the second place ACC. They were going to have to catch one of the probably 3 or 4, probably number 3 or number 4 in the Big Ten or the SEC to even win the game. I would much rather have Notre Dame than Texas Tech. CJ Carr looks good. Jeremiah Love, it just you tell me that Texas Tech can stop Jeremiah Love.
Texas Tech's defensive front's not terrible. Notre Dame's got injuries on the offensive line again, and Notre Dame's defense is not the Notre Dame's defense that we're used to. I think Texas Tech can move the ball on them. I think that's closer than
Notre Dame probably has. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's like a 17, 21 point game. It's probably going to be a 3 to 6 point game, but I would much rather have the Notre Dame side of the ball than the Texas Tech side of the ball.
Yeah, your problem, and more people. I would definitely say more people would lean your direction for sure on that than mine. I think Texas Tech. I really do think they could get them now on this list as well. Like Texas at plus 5,000. Texas is so bad, man, and we're going to have that conversation again for the 3rd week in a row. I'm ready to go play in traffic if I have to talk about Texas a whole lot more. I thought Mississippi State was going to give us the out.
Yep,
they shit their pants like they have a couple weeks in a row now, and I can't believe we have to continue to talk about Texas. I can't believe we have to bring up a Michigan conversation where we're not going to tonight, but they're making a case in the Big Ten to somehow squeak their way in. There's a lot of teams right now that I am just not sold on that are somehow winning football games, and there's a lot of teams that I am sold on that are somehow finding their way out of conversation, and it's crazy.
For everybody watching on YouTube, as you can see this, anybody below that Texas Tech, would you even take a flyer on any one of those teams, Colin?
If Vanderbilt didn't just beat Mizzou and I wasn't so pissed off, I would say Vanderbilt at plus 3,000.
No.
No, there's no way. There's no way I'm using my money. If you told me I had a free play and I had to pick one of these teams, I don't know, Georgia Tech at plus 9,000 or BYU at plus 12,000 just because the payout's so crazy good. But my answer to you is no.
Yeah.
No way.
Anybody under Texas Tech, I don't think there's any real shot of them actually winning.
That's honestly a great line, which would be 2, 4. That's the top 10 teams. Texas Tech is the 10th ranked team right now to win the national championship, odds wise, according to DraftKings. That's a good line. I don't hate that. Because I don't think Tennessee's real. I don't think Oklahoma's real. I don't think Georgia Tech, if they lined up, has a chance against these good teams. 2 weeks ago, I would have said USC because their offense is up there with the best in the business.
I don't think they have a real shot. Let's just take our top 4 up there. We all agree Ohio State, Indiana, Bama, and A&M, probably the most realistic shot to win.
Yeah.
If you line up USC against any of those 4 teams, there'd have to be some chaos happening for USC to win.
Yeah. I think USC could score with any of those teams.
I don't think they could. Not Ohio State's defense is amazing. Indiana's defense is real damn good. We saw that in the Oregon game. Alabama looks like they've turned it on. I know we're going to talk about their game against South Carolina. Did a couple things wrong in my opinion, but they slipped up. And then A&M, I don't think that they can outscore A&M. I'm not even talking about the defense. A&M can outscore damn near anybody on this list.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I don't know. We're not going to have that conversation because they're not going to make it. But
yeah,
I just love the combination of Lane and Mekhi Lemon and Maeva. Like those 3 right.
They are real fun to watch.
Yes, I love watching them. So, okay, let's get into the main game review here, and we have 4 on the main game, and then we have 6 quickies for you. And once again, you just have Nolan and I tonight, so we're going to go ahead and dive into this thing real quick and get the ball rolling. So let's get after it here. The first game we're going to talk about here is Texas A&M 49 at LSU 25. A&M moves to 8-0. LSU moves to 5-3. I think this game, Nolan, for me, it completely eliminated the conversation of having to bring up LSU again. And I think this game also moved A&M to the real conversation of what we've been saying for the last couple of weeks now, is that they arguably are the best team in the country. There's a real case if somebody came to me and said they're the number 1 team in the country, I wouldn't push back. But right now, because because Ohio State and Indiana haven't done anything to lose that conversation, and they were there first, they're going to stay at that conversation. But A&M right now is up there with those teams, in my opinion.
Yep, I agree. You line them up against anybody. I'm not sure how you can look me in the eyes and tell me with a straight face that A&M is just flat out going to lose. They got a shot against everybody. And it's like I said just a little bit ago. They win so many different ways. We've seen the run game take them all the way. We've seen Marcel Reed in the pass offense take them all the way. We've seen the defense, when the offense doesn't look like they know what they're doing, we've seen the defense just play shutdown and tell the other team, listen, you're not scoring more than 14 against us, and we will win 17-14, whether you like it or not. They're one of the more complete teams in all of college football. Line them up against anybody, and I think you got a shot at winning it.
Yeah, they're unbelievable. I think, too, when I look at this football game, Nolan, and I see the fact that A&M went 70% on third down.
Yep.
You didn't get them off the field. You're not going to win football games if you're LSU. LSU went 2 for 13 on that stat. And that's one stat, I said it last week, I'm going to say it again, that I feel like one of us 4 brings up every time we talk about a game, because I feel like you can see who won the game. If you just show that stat right there, you're going to know who won the football game. Yes. If you show me that A&M went 70%, which I think there were 7 of 10 in that game, and then you show me that LSU went 2 of 13 on that third down, that's the game right there. And you hear the fans chanting, fire Brian Kelly at the end of the football game. LSU's offensive line is just atrocious, man.
11 tackles for loss in this game.
11 tackles for loss, and 7 of those were sacks on Nussmeier, who's already banged up, already doesn't look healthy. Dude.
We said it before the season that was their biggest question mark. We thought their defense was going to be improved. Their secondary was young last year, and they got better every single game. They have a good defense, a I know I'm looking at 49 points from A&M.
They
A&M
gave
put
up.
up 49 against almost anybody.
Yeah, and LSU's defense gave up, man. They gave up. Weeks wasn't on the field. You saw him chewing his teammates' ass on the sidelines, talking about how this was effing embarrassing. But dude, you're on the field the whole damn game. And your offense is just subpar at best. I mean, Nussmeier threw it 35 times for 168 yards.
Yep.
This is horrible, man. And just honestly, a dominating performance from A&M. Just the most dominant way you could go into Death Valley and win a football game. Elko couldn't have drawn it up any better than this right here. This was just ass kicking up and down the field. Close in the first half, but it didn't feel close ever. LSU still has no run game. So, like I said, I think this is the end of LSU conversations, and we've kind of known it was coming for a while. A&M just ripped the Band-Aid off for us.
I'd like to bring up a new conversation about LSU. Are they going to make a bowl? 6-6 is what they're looking for, right? Do you know the remaining schedule? I looked it up. Bama, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Western Kentucky. I can count one win in there. I can get you to 6-6.
Yeah.
I cannot easily get you to 7-5. And that's Western Kentucky can score.
Yeah. Yeah. I would hope to God that if they were, what would that be? If they were 5-6 at the time going to play Western Kentucky, I would hope to God that the defense got back involved just enough to get them to a bowl game.
You would hope.
But I would feel comfortable saying they get to 7-5, in my opinion. I'm not
really not sure. Arkansas can score a lot of points too. I'm not sure you can outscore Arkansas.
Let me ask. No, they can't. I know they can't. Let me ask you this question: if you're Nussmeier and you know that you are a first-round quarterback in the draft, and you're already
My
kind of
knee
banged
hurts.
up,
I gotta sit, coach.
I hang it up. Yeah,
Yes.
that's your. Yeah, I'm hanging it up. If I'm Nussmeier, I'm sorry. And I hate to sound like that guy because I'm usually the opposite of that. I'm like, I'm usually the guy that says, hey, you practice with your team, you get out there and you win and lose with your team. But at this point, dude, they're letting Nussmeier get hit arguably every other play. And he's already banged up and he's got a lot of money on the table. He came back for this team when he didn't have to.
Yep.
And I'm out. I'm done. I'm not playing for Brian Kelly anymore. I'm done.
He is playing himself out of the number one quarterback off the board spot.
But see, I don't know if draft graders or whatever they're called or NFL
they're going to take into account how bad the offense is, but you can't even show almost anything on tape.
No, but that's also because they've got no receivers, no run game, and no offensive line.
Listen, you know what you just described? One of the teams that has a top 5 pick in the NFL draft.
Yeah, I just described
no receivers, no offensive line. That's what almost everybody steps into when they're a top 5 quarterback drafted. You're already looking at what's going on.
I just described Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans. You're right.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. LSU dead to us. A&M very much so alive to somehow get a 1 seed maybe at some point. We'll never know. All right, the next game we're going to talk about here is Ole Miss 34 at Oklahoma 26. Ole Miss 7-1, Oklahoma 6-2. Nolan, when you watch this game, what comes to mind?
John Mateer either plays hero ball or zero ball, and one was the zero ball game. Also, I'd like to bring up, you guys know after listening to a couple episodes, I like to bring up these advanced metrics. Ole Miss had 87 offensive plays. Oklahoma had 60. If you just tell me that stat alone, I will gladly take the team that has 27 extra offensive plays because odds are you're converting third downs. Odds are you are finishing your drives with points, and that is exactly what happened in this game.
Yep. It's for me too, like this game shouldn't have been as close as it was.
Yeah.
This game, whenever I watch this game and the dumbest thing I've seen from coaching all weekend, arguably, was outside of something that happened in the Mizzou game, was Lane Kiffin bringing in Austin Simmons on a goal line possession on a 3rd and a 4th down. What was he doing?
And he even said in the post-game interview, that was dumb, stupid mistake. But he did it a second time.
He came back and did it again. Yeah, like
if you knew it was a dumb mistake the first time, don't make the dumb mistake the second time.
one thing that I noticed in this football game too is that I don't know if Oklahoma found a run game with Xavier Robinson, who went 9 for 109 and 2 touchdowns, or if Ole Miss's rush defense is that bad. They've been that bad all season, and Oklahoma's run game has been that bad all season. So I kind of lean in the direction that Ole Miss's run defense is just that bad.
Yes, that's the position that I lean towards. Ole Miss's run defense is not good, not good at all.
I felt like Oklahoma had explosive plays or nothing too. I felt like that happened a lot.
That's all of Oklahoma's offense.
Yes, it touches on the point of what you said. This is why I also want to push back on some people that think John Mateer is still a Heisman conversation, because this is where I come into play and say he's 1A of the most overrated quarterback in the country, and he threw the ball 31 times against an okay Ole Miss defense, and had 223 yards, only 17 completions out of those 31, and only one touchdown. If it wasn't for Isaiah Sategna, the receiver for Oklahoma, his numbers would have been way worse. At least that dude runs wide open, I feel like, a lot. I mean, we'll dust your cleats off and put you back out there at quarterback, and you can find Sategna going down the sideline. He's open a lot.
Just launch it downfield.
And I think Sategna had like a 68-yard touchdown. So 68 of those yards was for Mateer was a probably 60-ish of those 68 after the catch. So I don't know. I'm just not impressed with Oklahoma offense at all. And Ole Miss's defense to me is not that impressive at all. I think you allow this many points to Oklahoma, who's really reeling on offense. I don't know if your defense is that great, but one thing I do know is Ole Miss's offense can get it going. That's the most points that Oklahoma's defenses gave up, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
And also, Kawan Lacey is
he's a monster.
Really damn good at the running back position for Ole Miss. Thanks for transferring out of Mizzou. We could have had a two-headed monster even better.
That was my number one note for this game. What a great individual effort by Kawan Lacey. He was bouncing off of tackles, left spin, right spin, gained 2 extra yards on every single play. And here's the other part that I wanted to tell you about the rush yards. Some of these advanced metrics again. Ole Miss's offensive line yards created per carry, 0.38 yards per carry.
So he had to earn all 78 yards.
Yes. Oklahoma's offensive line yards per carry, 1.46 yards.
Wow.
It just that's where we talk about what a great individual effort by Kawan Lacey. You are not getting a whole bunch of yards. The Oklahoma offensive front seven or defensive front seven is really good. So I don't expect you to have a high offensive line yards per carry. But then we look at these stats. Ole Miss's defense, they can't defend the run.
It's horrible. Then they're going to have some real problems moving forward, especially if they do make the playoffs and run into a team that can run the football, and it's not going to work out well for them.
Yep.
It's not. And
Indiana, Alabama, all of them. They got big boys up front.
And I don't think if they play a good offensive team moving forward that if Chambliss is throwing it 44 times, I don't think that's a recipe for Ole Miss to win you a football game.
I don't know, because Oklahoma, we talked about this in the preview episode as well. Oklahoma, we talked about Chambliss versus the blitz versus no blitz. They just kept blitzing. They just kept playing zone. That was the two things that we said. You can't blitz him because look at the stats. He's so much better against the blitz because he'll just throw the hot route. And if you're playing zone, you can't really take a hot route away.
Nope.
You got to play some man. You got to not bring a blitz every single time, but that's what Venables does. He does zone coverage, and he blitzes from weird angles.
I just can't believe they didn't man up against these receivers, because these receivers don't scare me.
No.
Like these receivers, as in Ole Miss's receivers, they don't scare me. I can't believe Venables didn't nut up and try to take them away. Wild stuff. Oklahoma, I think, got out coached, even though Kiffin did some dumb shit in the red zone.
Yeah, Kiffin's a great coach. I would love to have him. Some of these open jobs, you would be doing yourself a disservice if you do not call Lane Kiffin.
Yes, he schemes guys open. I'll give him that. He schemes guys open a lot.
But he's willing to just let somebody else take over a defense.
Yes.
He doesn't want anything to do with it. He just wants to scheme guys open, like you said. All you need is a good DC.
That's all you need. Put him and Venables together. Venables is making his DC. We'll have a different conversation about a good damn coaching staff.
Yes.
All right, so the next game that we want to talk about here on the main game is South Florida 31 at Memphis 34. USF slides to 6-2, and everything was in their hands. Their destiny was in their hands, and they let it go. Memphis 7-1. The big thing that I saw here in this game, Nolan, is all week it didn't look like Brendan Lewis was going to play quarterback for Memphis.
Yep.
Game time decision, he suits it up, he gives it a go, and played a damn good football game, man.
He played a great football game. That was the one thing we were counting on to happen was Brendan Lewis was not going to play. And that's why we had said, this is South Florida by a mile. We asked for Memphis's defense to step up. I mean, I know they gave up a ton of yards, but also when you're running 85 plays in a game, I expect you to give up 1,000,000 yards. What you didn't do is give up a bunch of points per drive. That's the thing that you can really hang your hat on this Memphis defense. It was that, we talked about break, don't bend for Mizzou versus Vandy. This was the classic bend but don't break. They didn't allow too terribly many just big-time touchdowns. They made them earn it every time.
Dude, there was over 1,000 yards of offense in this game.
Yes. Well, would it surprise you if I tell you there was, quick math, there was 162 offensive plays?
God, I watched it, dude. I was tuned in because this is a game that people were just like, oh, it's Memphis USF. I'm not going to watch it. Dude, no, that's what I said last week on the preview show. This is a high-stakes football game where there's real talent on both of these teams. And I was tuned into this the whole entire time. And what sucks is on our Book It segment, we took USF -4 because we didn't think Lewis was going to play.
Yep.
For me, what sucks too is USF kind of got really complacent in that fourth quarter because USF led this whole entire football game.
Yeah.
They get real stagnant and complacent in the fourth quarter, give Memphis some life. Memphis drives the field. Lewis throws an absolute beautiful ball to the back corner pylon to take the lead late in the fourth quarter. Left USF like 1:50-ish, I believe, left. And credit to Byron Brown and USF. They drove the field. They get down there, what would have been like a 39, 40-yard field goal. They end up getting a bullshit hold, and they backs them up to like a 50-yard field goal with no time on the clock, and they miss it. And what was the kicker's name? Grammatica? Isn't that his name? There's like 50 of those guys, I feel like, that have kicked in college football. And I felt confident with him kicking it and just missed it, man. I felt confident, too, if USF got to overtime, they were going to win. But this is why you don't let games come down to kickers in college football. This is a prime example right here. I hate it. And that's going to cost you more times than it doesn't. Look at Auburn last week against Mizzou. Look at Mizzou last week against Auburn. They were giving the game away because they couldn't kick. Look at Mizzou this week. They bang a 29-yard field goal up the upright. They decide not to kick on fourth downs because they don't have a kicker. You can't let games come to kickers in college football, man. It happens way too often, and you never see it go that way. But what this game did, Nolan, is it made the G5 conversation that much more interesting. It made the Navy conversation that much more interesting because that Navy-Army game is after the playoff selection. So, it just completely jumbles up and, pukes out, what are we going to do for the G5 conversation right now? Because this brings North Texas right back into the conversation.
My new vote is Tulane. I think these
American teams, you're right.
I think these American teams, they're all just going to vulture each other. It's like the Big 12. We talked about all these teams are the same in the Big 12. I think all these teams are almost the same in the American Conference. They're all really good. They're easily the best G5 conference this year.
It's not close.
Which really sucks for all of these teams that are good this year.
Yep.
Because this is your year to go. Everybody looks at their team in fall practice, in spring camp, and you're like, hey, we got a shot. Then you line it up against all these other teams. You're like, oh, man, they got a shot too. The American Conference is vulturing themselves, and my new vote is Tulane, even though our Navy still has a chance, and that was my pick originally. it's going to take a lot to go right for some of these American teams to come out.
Notre Dame's going to chew up and spit out Navy. I'm pretty sure
that one doesn't even matter.
It doesn't, but I think it does whenever it comes to trying to get that playoff spot.
Yeah.
I think it does then. I think a little bit because that you're looking at a G5 versus a Power 4 result, and it's going to, I think, affect them a little bit. But I have a question for you, and I just thought of this. Real quick, actually. I want to give credit to USF's defense because they bottled up that Memphis run game, and they made Lewis go earn it, and he did. But maybe this is me being crazy. Would you take Americans' top 5 right now versus the ACC's top 5?
Well, you're going to lose to Miami. I'm just going to call that straight off.
We saw USF lose to Miami, so there's one.
Well, here's the other question. Are we going top 5 standings in the ACC? Because I'm going to have to look this up. I don't know this off the top of my head.
I think the ACC's top 5, and this is off the top of my head too. So I think the ACC's top 5 is Miami, Louisville, Georgia Tech, Virginia, and who would be the 5th? I don't know who the 5th would be.
I'm looking her up here.
Because I think if you matched up Memphis, USF, Tulane, I think if you took and North Texas, if you took those, I think those 4 for sure, and probably Navy, could go beat Virginia. I think they could go hang with Louisville. I think they could go hang with Georgia Tech. Obviously, the Miami question, that's not a question. That's where it's different. But I think my point is I think they're just as good at the top outside of the very best team.
So if you're going by the top 25 rankings, it's Georgia Tech, Miami, Virginia, Louisville, and Pitt.
PSC.
Those are your 5.
Louisville, Pitt, and Georgia Tech and Virginia don't scare me for any of these teams.
Virginia's going to lose. They should have lost the last 3 weeks.
They're the BYU of the ACC.
Georgia Tech, I can't bet against Haynes King. I would think Georgia Tech's going to win. Pitt's an interesting one. I don't know if you've watched Pitt play a bunch this year. They are a hard-nosed football team. And if you don't bring it every single – yes. If you don't bring it every single snap, they're just going to run over you. I think Pitt would be an interesting one. Pitt's going to be the deciding factor on if you go 2-3 versus 3-5. Because I'm giving a win to Miami and I'm giving it to Georgia Tech. UVA, I'm giving a loss. Louisville's probably a toss-up, and Pitt's probably a toss-up.
I think where I was going with that too is it's just crazy that the American is that good. Like their top teams are actually that good.
Yes.
I mean,
they're about to not be because we're in the NIL era.
Yeah.
Their best players are going to some of those teams we talk about. I mean, Mestamaker being our dog of the week, he's about to get $4 million next year, dude.
He's about to get paid, dude. If Duke went in and poached
Carson Beck like $3.5 million to go play at Miami this year. Can you picture what they're going to give Mestamaker next year?
Dude, look what Duke did with Tulane's quarterback. They went and poached and paid him like $3 million or whatever it was to go play at Duke. Mestamaker's going to get an absolute bag, and it's going to be.
That's why he was smiling so much at the game.
Yeah, and it's going to be a team better than Duke that goes and gets Mestamaker too. Like he's the real damn deal. Yeah, I just wanted to have that conversation off the top of my head because it randomly hit me when I was like, dude, there's so many good American teams.
Oh yes.
Let's get this one over with. Mizzou 10 at Vanderbilt 17. Mizzou falls to 6-2. Vanderbilt goes to 7-1. Nolan, I'm going to let you go first because I don't want to spend a lot of time on this just because I could get real long-winded. So I'm going to let you kind of get some of the key ingredients out there, and I'll pick up a little bit of what I saw on some more detailed things.
We're just going to run down bullet point by bullet point if we're going to keep it a little short. Bullet point number 1, if you're not a fan of either of these teams, what a terrible game to watch.
Yes.
This was it wasn't all that fun of a game. It was a defensive struggle. Both offenses looked like they didn't really know what was going on. Pribula looked kind of flustered all day. He didn't really look like he knew where he was supposed to go with the ball. And I think I was sitting watching the game with one of my buddies. Shout out Garrett. He does the Foul 'em Hard podcast for DTSN with you. He said after Zollers had played 2 series, he said, I think that coaching move kind of calmed Drink and the offensive coordinator down a little bit. They look like they actually know what's going on at this point. I think Pribula not knowing where to go kind of flustered the coaching staff, and it just fed on top of each other. And then Vandy just, I don't know, they just couldn't get anything going. Outside of the long run for a touchdown, there wasn't a whole lot for either team going right.
And this is one thing that I'm glad you brought that play up, because Bryant and I were going crazy about that play. There's a block in the back, there's a hold, and it's right in front of the ref, and those two guys that are doing those two are side by side. And this is one thing that we don't do on this show very often is we don't throw a fit about officiating. We don't. And especially for our favorite teams. You know, you don't bring it up for Florida State. I don't bring it up for Mizzou. Bryant doesn't bring it up for Mizzou. But it needs to be addressed a little bit, because even Drink addressed it after the game. He was just like, hey, we were on the wrong side of quite a few calls. I haven't seen a tripping call from an offensive lineman, Nolan, in years. And we're going to call two in the same game. And both times it was because the offensive lineman, well, the one time Tollison got blown up and his legs were in the air. I don't think there was anything intentional about that. The other one was Judice. He slips and falls and his legs go up in the air. And it broke up a big play. Like the tripping calls, if we're going to call shit like that, man, then we really got to be defined on the holdings as well the whole entire game. Like if you're going to call petty shit like that on the offensive line, you got to call it both ways the whole entire game. I also think one of the worst calls I've seen all season, this is not me being biased, was the passing interference in the fourth quarter that allowed Vanderbilt to go score and extend a drive, because that ball was 7 yards out of bounds. That ball was completely uncatchable. I was screaming at the TV live, that is uncatchable, pick it up, do the right thing. And they didn't pick it up, man. There was some really, really questionable shit. And even if Mizzou got a couple calls, which I don't think they did, that's not me being biased, stay out of the game, man. You see that too much in this year's college football, where the officiating gets way too involved. Get out of the game, man. We don't turn the TV on to watch pinstripes throw flags.
Is this another situation we just saw the ref get permanently put on hold for an indefinite amount of time that had the Auburn-Georgia game? Is this another situation where we get some refs on hold? This is the last thing I'll comment about officiating.
Yeah, it has to be, because it was honestly terrible. And it really did affect the game, dude. Like, you extend the drive, it was third down on that passing interference. Mizzou's getting off the field. It's a tie game still. It's horrible. Now, all the officiating aside, Mizzou didn't do enough to win the football game, right? The possession where Prabula got ruled out for the rest of the season, I thought it was kind of a dirty play from Vanderbilt's D lineman. I thought he twisted him up and rolled him up a little bit. And, you know, all the prayers and hope for Bo for the recovery. I don't want to sit here and talk about his downfall and talk about how Mizzou looks better after his downfall. But if I'm a Mizzou fan, I'm taking a step back and looking at this game as a whole, because I was really pissed off and really upset, because I felt like Mizzou was the better team again and lost. They were the better team against Alabama and lost. This is 2 games where Mizzou's been the better team and lost. But what I'm kind of looking at from a different angle outside the box a little bit is, dude, you're on a preferred walk-on kicker. Your tight end gets hurt. You're on your third-string quarterback, because both your top 2 quarterbacks have blown out an ankle and a knee. You have some injuries defensively, some injuries on the line. Like, dude, they shouldn't even have been in this football game, Nolan. If I'm a Vanderbilt fan and they're out there peacocking around like they just beat the number 1 team in the country, and Pavi is in his post-game press conference with his chains on talking about, hell yeah, I'm the Heisman. Dude, miss me with that shit, because you just beat a team that was limping around on the field. They put in a quarterback that didn't have any script, and they just freeballed it. In his possessions, they drove the ball down your throat every time with him. You're lucky they don't have a kicker. You're lucky they don't have a kicker, because you lost that game if they have a kicker.
Here's to your point. Mizzou had 89 offensive plays. Vandy had 54.
They dominated them.
The total amount of yards per drive, Mizzou had 37.6 average yards per drive. Vandy had 26.8. Mizzou's average starting field position was their own 37. Vandy was their own 24. And then the last one here, the havoc rate, stop rate. Mizzou had a 53% defensive stop rate against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt had a 38% defensive stop rate. But at the same time, as I'm scrolling up, this is all on Game on Paper, by the way, if anybody wants to look at these advanced stats. as I'm looking at the win probability, you watch the game and you're like, Mizzou doesn't seem like they're in this game as I'm watching it. It looked like Vandy just kind of has control. That's exactly what the win probability tells you. But then you look at all of the stats, and it looks like it's the complete opposite way. This is one of the weirder games to see on this game on paper website.
If Mizzou had a kicker, there wasn't some BS calls, they win the game. Here's the only other thing I'll talk about from a play standpoint, and then I'm gonna make one more comment, and then we're gonna move on. Have you ever seen an opposing defensive end or outside linebacker take a handoff?
No, but he should have.
That dude, if Zowers if he just falls on it instead of trying to hand it off late, dude, they probably win the game again. They're driving. It's 10-10. They're driving the field, dominating the defense. The defense was winded at that point. If they don't have that happen, they drive and they win the game.
Same thing though for Mizzou, and I think it was Zion. He had a chance to take that pitch.
Yeah, dude. Yes.
6 the other way. It kind of
win the game like that.
Straight through his hands. I know you're a defensive player, but come on, dude. You got to have some ball skills there.
100%, dude. It about went through your face mask. Yeah, and the last thing I'm going to say, I'm going to try to get out here on a positive note for Mizzou is you're limping, man. You're limping. This team showed real grit, real fight. The bright side for your team moving forward, as always, looks incredible. You got a quarterback with some serious zip. Dude didn't play a senior year because of an ankle injury, and hasn't played at all since his junior year, really, outside the first game of his senior season. And he came in, and that dude looked the most calm I've ever seen a freshman quarterback in the pocket look. Incredible stuff, really. And the last thing on this game, and we're going to move on. I said it earlier when we talked about the Heisman conversation. I don't want to hear anybody bring up Pavia for the Heisman again. Zowers played 25 less minutes than Pavia in this football game and had 9 more passing yards and 1 more passing touchdowns than Pavia did in this football game. 129 yards and telling me he's a Heisman guy to an interception. Don't bring it up again, Dave. If you're out there listening and watching our show right now, don't bring it up again. All right? All right, man. Anything else in this football game?
No.
I'm getting fired up again. I'm reliving some nightmares I had yesterday, and it was horrible stuff for me. I was so sad. I looked at my wife, and I was just like, I wanted to honestly explain to you that I'm actually heartbroken right now. Right now. This is what it was. Let's move on to our quickie segment here. First game on the quickie segment is mine. It's Texas 45 and Mississippi State 38. Texas 6-2, Mississippi State 4-4. Talked about it earlier. Mississippi State, you blow another one. You blow another one. Could have beat Florida, could have beat Texas. You blow another one. Their environment, dude, with the cowbells, obnoxious. Incredible, though. I couldn't imagine playing there. My ears would still be ringing if I was Texas. One thing I saw in this game, Arch Manning looked a little bit better. 346 yards and 3 touchdowns. Not bad, Arch. Your best game of the season. You know what happened? You got your head blown off in overtime. Probably got a concussion. Your head went rolling 8 yards outside of your body. You had to go pick it up. And that's a question moving forward for Texas. They got a big game this coming week. Don't want to spoil that. That'll be on our preview episode. But here we go again, man. Like I said, Texas, somebody needs to beat them. Bury them. I'm tired of having the conversation. They're not that good. There was 12 total sacks in this football game. What was Mississippi State doing? Up 17 points in the fourth quarter, running tempo for?
I think it's because this
better be good.
They know Texas's defense is so good that they have to run tempo to even think about moving the ball. But at the same time, just run some time off the clock. Because you really didn't move it anyway.
No. You ran tempo and lost.
They snapped the ball, I don't know how many times in a row with like 20, 23
seconds
on the play clock. It's ridiculous.
Horrible. One bright side for Texas, their defense is still great. Ryan Wingo looked really good. He had 5 for 184 yards. I'm pretty sure all of those came out for the catch. I think it was
129 of the 184, if I remember correctly.
I was texting my buddy while watching that game a little bit, and I was just like, man, dude, Ryan Wingo looks really, really good. And he's a real talent.
Throw him the ball more. It would be an easy thing to do. Just like Julian saying, throw the ball to Jeremiah Smith.
It would be too easy to do, and Arch still struggled to do it a lot of the times. All right, Nolan, the next quickie game is yours, buddy, and I'm trying to get the graphic to load, but it will not load for some reason all of a sudden. Let's just see if I can try and get it up here one more time. But it is Houston at Arizona State, and the graphic is not loading. So I'm just going to let you take it, man. We got no graphic on this one.
So the big point for Arizona State, it's like we said in the preview, no Jordan Tyson. That kills their offense. Sam Leavitt, he's a good quarterback. He is not a great quarterback is the problem. If he doesn't have Jordan Tyson, it doesn't really work for him. There wasn't a whole lot of defense in the game. I know the score is pretty low for a non-defensive game, but at the same time, there was 800 some odd yards of offense, and each team went over 5 yards per play. It's just, did you finish your drive or not is the big problem. And like we talked about, this was the elimination game. I mean, Arizona State's done with their playoff talk at this point. Houston, they have a legit shot. We talked about this, and we brought up their remaining schedule left. They have a legit shot to make this Big 12 playoff. They're tied for like second place because the Big 12 is just ridiculous at the moment. But they're tied for like second place. It's going to be an insane finish. I hope everybody understands the tiebreakers. I sure as hell don't.
Good luck.
But I hope everybody can figure out some tiebreakers because that's what we're coming down to at this point.
Yeah, Houston getting out of there 24-16. Sam Leavitt, banged up in this one too. Jordan Tyson. We talked about all those things. Not great. And Houston tried to give it away, though, Noel. They tried to give it away, and they just happened to hold on.
They did.
The next game here in the quickie is mine. It's Baylor 20 at Cincinnati 41. I don't need to really say anything else in this quickie segment other than the fact that Cincinnati went 11 for 16 on third and fourth down combined. That is how you live on the football field. Baylor's run defense, horrible. One of the worst in the country, in my opinion, when you watch them. Brendan Sorsby only had to throw the ball 21 times because of that, and they still scored 41 points. They had 265 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. I don't need to say anything else for Cincinnati. Baylor's offense, I think Sawyer Robertson has looked like a different Sawyer Robertson, kind of struggling here recently.
Yes.
And when your leading receiver had 34 yards, that's not normal for a Baylor offense. That's not how they win games. I think Dave Aranda's in real trouble again at Baylor as the head coach. They're 4-4 and definitely falling short of expectations. Cincinnati's legit. They're going to make a playoff run or a Big 12 run, arguably a playoff run too. The next quickie game we have here is Alabama 29 at South Carolina 22. This is yours. No one take it, buddy.
I really thought we were going to have some parity in this game. Alabama looked like, even when they were down, Alabama looked like, they're going to come back. They're going to do it. They're going to come back. They're going to do it. Everybody kind of thought that same thing until about the middle of the third quarter, start of the fourth quarter. It's like South Carolina is really going to do this. You even saw the student section. I don't know if you saw that or not. With 2 minutes left in the game, all of them were crowded down along like the fence line, and they were ready to rush the field. And then Alabama
turned it on.
They pulled it away. They looked like the better team at that point. And I'm looking at their win probability chart. I always have these game on paper games up as we're talking about them. It flipped in 2 plays from a 62% South Carolina win percentage to a 88% Alabama win percentage. 1 play did that. It's the exact same thing as what we said about the Alabama-Tennessee game. It was momentum at that point, and then Alabama just kind of took over and showed they are the better team. That's what we thought was going to happen. Alabama was going to win. I really thought we were going to have something in this game, though. Sellers didn't look bad. No. I will say that.
They pissed it away. They had a chance to win it. Another coach that might be in trouble there. BYU 41 at Iowa State 27. Man, I feel like our quickie segment is just littered with Big 12 games. BYU moves to 8-0, Iowa State 5-3. In this game, one of the big headlines for BYU is LJ Martin gets hurt. That's not a good recipe for them moving forward. Iowa State, dude, they came out and scored 17 points in the first quarter. Looked hot. I was like, holy shit. Yep, no one called it. BYU's done. Dead on arrival. Not going to make it. Had a little bit of that Holy War hangover probably, and then they just happened to start lighting it up, man. Lit it up second quarter on. Barry Bachmeier, 307 yards and 2 touchdowns through the air. We don't see that from him a lot. But if you're telling me right now, Nolan, this is where I'm going to push back on your take. If you're telling me right now if Barry Bachmeier can throw for 300 and run for 100, he's going to be a problem. Now, Iowa State's defense is banged up. They have no corners. Big Citrus did give it a go in this football game for Iowa State. So that was big for them. But Bear Bachmeier looks to be a legit freshman quarterback, man. The one thing moving forward for BYU that I have some questions with is Hansen ran it for 16 times for 152 yards in this game. BYU's defense is a little bit harder nosed than that. Don't let that happen again. They shouldn't have any problems moving forward, man. Carson Beck, 3 interceptions. That's how you lose football games.
That's really – I keep harping on BYU winning these games because of turnovers. In the past 2 games, it has been fumbles. Interceptions are less of a luck turnover than fumbles are. Everybody knows it's a weird-shaped ball. It bounces wherever it feels like. It is very lucky to force and recover a turnover. It's not always super lucky to get an interception unless it's one of those batted balls straight up in the air and you come down with it, which was not in this case. So, again, I have to somewhat apologize. I'm not ready for the full 100% apology just yet. I would like to see them when they play some of these other Big 12 teams. I think everybody is the exact same team, and the turnovers is what has killed everybody against BYU. And I'm interested to see if BYU does not just absolutely take over the turnover battle. Can you still win? And I know I'm moving the field goal post for everybody, but God damn it, I want to be right on this one.
Their schedule is soft, dude. It has been soft. Hey, you just keep hanging in there, man. They've only got 4 games left. You've got to get it at some point. Maybe. This next game, last quickie game we have for us is Illinois 25 at Washington 42. Illinois slides to 5-3. Our Washington Huskies, and I say our because this is a Washington football podcast, moves to 6-2. Nolan, tell us about Washington's best win of the season.
Again, not a lot of defense in this game. It so happened that Washington ended up finishing their drives. Illinois did not. And it's kind of what we called for in the preview episode. I referenced it a couple times that we talked about these very specific things, and then all of a sudden it happens. I think somebody should give us coaching opportunities as a group of 4 here, but
please,
different story. We called for Damon Williams to get some confidence throws. That's what they started the game with. Some easy throws, get his confidence up, get him moving. And then I would also like to point out Jonah Coleman, what a great individual effort again.
Yep.
It looked like he had Vaseline on. Nobody could take him down.
Nope. Incredible, dude. Great running back. One of the most
Illinois can't run the ball. That's really their big problem. If they could have any semblance of a run game, I think they'd have a better shot. It's just when they play teams that are either at their level or better than them, they just can't pull it out. It's what we called for in if you guys remember all the way back to the preview of the season episode. That was one thing that we were calling for is Pat Bryant's not there to bail you out with some of those highlight plays at the end of the game. It kind of looks like it's coming to fruition. Hank Beatty can make some plays, but he hasn't made as many as Pat Bryant did last year.
No, and outside of him, it's not good.
Yes.
Without a run game, you're in trouble. Okay, that was the last quickie game for us, and fantastic. It was another fantastic week of college football. We called it Elimination Weekend. It lived up to the hype. It was fantastic. Yep. It was enjoyable to watch, and it's only going to get dicier moving on the rest of this season. Don't miss out now. Tell your friends, tell your family that DTSN is all over it. I feel like we've been right way more than we've been wrong, and when we are wrong, we're willing to admit it. No one's just hanging on by a thread on his hottest take of the season so far.
Yep.
We are definitely getting down to the nitty-gritty here, and I cannot wait to see how this thing shakes out and what all comes ahead. Also, tell your friends, tell your family, the DTSN's doing a hell of a giveaway. Talked about this in the beginning of the episode. I'm going to wrap it up with that, and then we're going to get out of here. You can find our new merch link underneath all of our episodes on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. It's going to be on our homepages as well. It's all there. All the information you need is there for you to find. What you have to do to be eligible to win our 2 free giveaways is make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you're hitting the alerts so that way you know when we go live, just like we did tonight. We went on a Sunday, and we're going to try to do this moving forward, the Sunday thing. We love going on Sundays now. That way it's more fresh. But all you have to do is do all those things I just told you and leave a review on Apple or Spotify. And YouTube, you cannot leave reviews, but make sure you leave a comment for us. Tell us what you like, and we're going to take the best comments, reviews that we get take those two that we like the most, and we're going to put you in, and we're going to let you guys know on the show who won, and you guys are going to get to pick out an item of your choice, and DTSN is going to cover it for you here and take care of you and get it shipped out to you. So make sure you're doing that, and make sure you're telling your friends and family. Get everybody involved in that, man. We want to take care of you guys. You guys have helped us kind of take off here. And like I said last week, man, every episode I feel like we've gained a subscriber. We're moving up. Had great turnout on our last 2 episodes, around the 160 views mark on the last 2. And that was awesome, man. And I would really appreciate that. Whether you're coming in just so you can try to get some merch or not, hey, we'll take it where we can get it. Any view moves us up the board on the algorithm on YouTube, and that's what we need. You slide up that board on people's feeds. So that was Nolan. I'm Colin. Nolan, you got anything else, buddy?
No, sir.
All right, man, let's do it here. We will be back hopefully Wednesday or Thursday this week with our preview episode. Make sure you're looking out for that. Got another loaded slate coming up. You can follow us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify at Deep Threat Sports, XDT_sports_, Facebook, Deep Threat Sports Network. That's Nolan. I'm Colin. Nolan, real quick before I hit say peace. When are we going to end the drawing for the merchandise giveaway?
I say let's end it after next week. Let's do it on the preview episode for next week. So like next Wednesday, Thursday, somewhere right around there.
Okay, so it'd be after the preview episode for week 11.
Yes.
Okay, so going into week 12, we will announce the winners on the week 12 or week 11 review episode, the week of week 12. Perfect. All right, man. Well, we're going to get out of here then. We'll see you guys on Wednesday or Thursday this week. That's Nolan. I'm Colin. Till next time. Peace.